Hello and welcome to Makers.dev episode number 82. Chris, did you know that 82 is palindromic in 3 bases?
Nope. What are those bases?
For the grand prize, could you name one of those bases?
Oh man. 2?
Nope.
Okay. Then no, I can't.
3. You were very
All right.
close.
Sure.
82 is 10001 in base 3. It is 101 in base 9, and it is 22 in base 40.
Oh, you know what? I could have named one because it's palindromic in base 82 also. Because it's just one.
Oh, you got me. You could have named it's
I could've,
yeah,
but
all right.
but I didn't. So
That's
I lose.
not listed on the Wikipedia page.
You should change the
add
Wikipedia
that.
page.
Yeah.
Is it not palindromic if it's just one letter? I actually don't know.
A palindrome can be just one letter, I think. It's the same
Alright.
forward and backwards. So yeah, if it's a single,
Yeah.
is a null string? I think an empty string would be palindromic. Yeah.
Maybe, but there's no base that would return a null string. Base 0, maybe. Divide by undefined.
Base arbitrary base for the purposes of this question always returns a null string, and so that would be palindrome. Yeah, no, because palindrome is just like, does the string equal the string reversed? So yeah, an empty string I think would be a palindromic string. Anyway, hey, how's it going? I heard you are now famous, and you're
Yeah, something crazy happened. Apparently, my face was on a billboard in New York Times this week, or Times Square in New York this week.
That's
Yeah.
wild. I saw the
is.
screenshots. I thought it was
It
a
is
render
wild.
or something at first, but I guess
I
it's
thought
just
it was
like,
fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was fake for a while, and then it wasn't. He confirmed it wasn't, and also if you look at the pictures, you can tell that it's not a render. There's like a couple of tells, like shadows are cast too perfectly, and then the thing that. Okay, so what happened? Let me back up. I sold Meeting Place using MicroAcquire, and when it happened, I tweeted about it. I was like, I sold Meeting Place and I used MicroAcquire, and it was great, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they retweeted that, which is great, and I thought that was the end of it. But now there's like a month, 4 months later, I guess, 5 months later, they put more than one tweet. Mine was one of them on billboards. One billboard was in Times Square, and one was on a boat in Miami. So there's a boat and a canal in Miami. They did it last week. They did it to someone who had a 7-figure exit. Mine was not 7 figures, but they did it for mine as well. And the quote was something like, we need to also celebrate the small victories, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, my tweet with my face and my name was on a billboard in Times Square
So cool.
for at least long enough for someone to take 4 pictures of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when, I'm viewing this through the lens of traction, I think I just did the chapter on actual ads and the process of buying billboards and this sort of thing. And when I was thinking through it, I was thinking, I would love for this to make sense, and I could sort of see how maybe like airport ads would be the sort of place where FileInbox customers would hang out. So I'm very surprised that a place like MicroAcquire would buy a billboard and a thing on a yacht, because their customers are people who have software companies, and Times Square is just everyone. So how does that make sense? But then I started thinking, we're talking about it right now.
Correct.
It's very unusual to have something on a billboard in our industry, and so it's very noteworthy. And so by putting you on a billboard, that tweet got a ton of engagements, and developers actually do hang out on Twitter getting tweets. But also, it doesn't really, we don't actually know if it was real. You kind of do, because it you looked at the image and it looks like it wasn't a render, but the core publicity seems to be from the fact that we're talking about that it was on a billboard and not the actual billboard itself, which makes me think it seems like you would get most of the actual value from doing this if you just had a billboard up there for half a second and took a bunch of pictures of it and then put it back down and then brought that to your actual marketing channel to say, hey, remember billboards? Isn't that crazy how no one uses billboards in our industry? You're on a billboard. And that's technically true. Those are some of my thoughts around billboard marketing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so this is exactly the thing that we talked about, was it last time or the time before, where the security guy who posted his social security number on a billboard, and the real benefit to him for that was not the billboard itself, but all the news articles talking about it. It's the exact same mechanism. So Microacquire posted something on a billboard, they tweeted about it, that got who knows how much engagement. I tweeted about it. I can see my engagement numbers. It was at like 30,000 views last time I looked at it. So just the retweet of their tweet. So, and those are, that is far more focused. Also, it tells a story, a very interesting story that people can actually, real people, me, can actually get stuff acquired in Microacquire, right? And so, yeah, the knock-on effects are all the benefits. Also, what you said is exactly what I think they did, or roughly. So if you look at their post from last week, it shows the exact same billboard and the exact same boat in Miami. And the New York one is a little tricky, but the Miami one, you can tell they took the one shot showing the other person's tweet, and then you can tell the boat has moved but is in the exact same canal, and then they showed my tweet. So it's from the same vantage point. They took the two shots, which means they were on the same day. They probably had, I don't know, 10 people. I have no idea. But so over the next few weeks, you'll probably see Microacquire put out more of these shots of people on billboards. And it's not like they did a huge campaign. They probably did a campaign for 1 hour with 10 different people or something like that. That's my guess.
Interesting. This has me in the mindset of thinking, how could we use this for FileInbox and AcornChat? Because I think in Traction they even talked about that you can buy a time slot of a billboard in Times Square for still an outrageous amount of money, but I'm wondering what the smallest unit of that is. Because I've seen pump and dump schemes for like shit coins is the technical term, so it's not technically cursing, where they'll have some billboard in Times Square, and that's part of the pump and dump that you just get notoriety about it. And it's not even that it was in Times Square, it's that you take a picture of the billboard and then you post it on Discord, and that's proof that you're an actual legit thing. And I don't know what that would look like. What might that look like for AcornChat? What is the sort of billboard that would get people talking about? Like, I'm imagining something like you having a really controversial billboard that's along the lines of I forgot the name of your primary competitor, not Discord.
Intercom.
If you had a billboard that was like, Intercom sucks and they're awful, and the CEO of Intercom can go and do bad things,
which is exactly not true. I actually really like the CEO of Intercom,
well,
for the record.
something controversial, I don't know, that would get people's attention. And then you take a picture of that billboard, and then you put it on Twitter and you say, hey, Intercom sucks, use AcornChat instead. It's a squirrel or something eating the Intercom logo. I don't know. What would that work?
So I don't think so. It would get some engagement, but with the one, who was the guy? Was it McAfee or Norton? One of the, or no. It was like, no, whoever did the posted the social security number. It was not either of those. They got a lot of response because it was a really strong emotion, kind of on the negative side, sort of like I don't know. I guess I don't know exactly where I'm going with that. But then the Microacquire, they got a lot of emotion, but on the positive side, right? So I think, yes, you have to go either super negative or super positive, or just, I guess, super weird in a way that actually is weird. So like one company, like, talking down about another company, I don't think is enough anymore to cause a lot of controversy. And so you need something actually controversial if you're going to go that route, or something super positive, which is these real people are using our thing and having life-changing outcomes.
Yes.
Which is a really positive,
that
thing.
Tracks for me that you need a strong emotion. That was also talked about in Traction on the viral marketing chapter, that for something to go viral, people have to feel a strong feeling about it. Either, in this case, a really positive feeling of, wow, this person I know was on a billboard. That's really cool. Or a strong negative feeling of people saying that they hate someone. There's a billboard in DFW that says, I hate Steven Singer, and that's all it says. It's a black billboard with white text, and it says, I hate Steven Singer. And I don't know who Steven Singer is, and I don't know why, but I've seen it 50 times, and I feel a strong emotion when I see that. I'm like, who is this person, and why does someone hate him?
And so I'm sure clearly trying.
I'm sure Steven Singer was the person who put the billboard up or something.
Yeah, they're clearly trying to capture some of that there. And I mean, the fact that you have no idea who Steven Singer is probably means you're not the audience. It probably means that social media is the audience for that billboard as well.
Sure.
people take pictures of that and tag it probably if they know whoever Steven Singer is. We
Sure.
probably look stupid now for not knowing who Steven Singer is, but I have no idea either.
I assume he's like a local radio host or something, and I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah. So how might we evoke a strong emotion, not necessarily negative, on a billboard that has something to do with AcornChat?
I don't know. If I knew, then maybe I'd have more users. I think Tuple could do this. So Tuple, that we just talked about them, they did their open source thing.
Yeah.
If they put the winners of that open source contest on a billboard,
Yeah.
just like MicroAcquire did, and then tweeted about them, that would probably do pretty well. Although, since MicroAcquire just did it, and a lot of the audience is kind of a crossover between them and Tuple, not entirely, but enough that that might be too repetitive too quickly. So like the thing with unique marketing things is that they can't be repetitive in the same audience within a while, say like a couple of months, or else people just get tired of it. That's why everyone is exhausted by Twitter threads now, because they used to be interesting and now it's just like
they're everywhere. So that was something really interesting in traction that keeps getting repeated, is that marketing strategies work and then they don't. They have a they have a decay of how effective they are. And I've been thinking about it so much since I read it, but it makes sense of people are seeking new things, and products are a category of new things, and the way you find out about the products needs to continue to be novel. So things like do you remember the commercial for the shaving company?
Dollar Shave Club.
Club, yeah. Where it was this really raw, gritty, just like the founder making funny, crude jokes and stuff coming in, and he's just walking through his factory. That killed. That got so many engagements. That was like a huge thing. And then since then, it's been repeated so many times, and it's been made formulaic. And I think as soon as it becomes formulaic, people start to filter it out of, this is no longer a symbol of authenticity or uniqueness. This is now just the standard way that people do things.
Yeah, so it worked for them, and it worked for Old Spice, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Everyone else after that's just a derivative.
Yep. And the market's just waiting for what the next thing like that is going to be, which might be an experiment that I'm doing this last week that I'll talk about later.
All right.
It's the video chat thing. We'll talk about it. Okay. Yeah. This I like that we're focused more on the marketing angle of this. This has become a very interesting solution to a problem that I feel like I'm directly facing, of how do you get people talking about your product? How do you have a piece of marketing that does evoke a strong emotion? And it seems like MicroAcquire did that successfully. And
they also didn't just focus on themselves, right? It was focused, like their tweet was about me, which is crazy. They didn't actually tag me. One of my friends did. That's how I found out about it. Yeah. And then I spent a while trying to figure out if it was fake or not. I first looked at it, and it looks like a render when you first see it, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Anyway, so but and then the last tweet they did was about the other person, right? And like it was about their story. And so I think really good unique marketing is focused on, not just focused on the company, right? It's about something else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even in the Dollar Shave Club ad, like, it was about their employees and, how they're providing jobs. And then it was about your story as a shaver and how it's going to be better. Like, so it wasn't about them.
What if it's a billboard of a screenshot of a transcript someone had on their website with AcornChat? That was the conversation, the sale was made in the conversation or something, or the customer said something like, wow, this is so cool that I can just talk to you live. This is so much better than other companies.
Maybe. Yeah. One of the reasons it worked for MicroAcquire is because I tweeted publicly about it, so they could use my tweet. Whereas with AcornChat, I don't.
It's a private conversation. That wouldn't quite work.
It's a private conversation. Also, you would have to have like very happy customers for it to work. Like, I'm a very happy customer of MicroAcquire. Well, I'm not even a customer. I didn't pay them any money. The buyer did, but and so that's why it works. Currently, AcornChat is too new for any of this to matter. Yeah.
Okay. Good to keep in mind, though. I like thinking about this. While we're on the topic, how is AcornChat going? You were in the Slack App Store. I think you got in like 2 or 3 days before our last episode.
Yes, it was approximately 1 week ago, and I've had 3 trials in the week. So Yeah,
Sweet.
so 3 is not 0. I've no paying customers from those 3. They have 30 days technically to try it before they have to pay. So 3 in a week is, I think, low, but also not 0. So that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if 3 people wanted to try it, then supposedly more will. I still haven't updated my analytics. I've been a lot more focused on other things, Kaggle and other things. So I haven't TikTok back to AcornChat yet to update my analytics to really know like what percentage 3 is of the people visiting.
Oh yeah, if you could see the conversion rate from landing pages.
Yeah.
Like if you got 10 hits and
3 trials.
that'd be really
that'd be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I do have numbers, but it includes robots also, and
Okay.
robots are like more than half the traffic. I know, like they are.
Okay.
But I don't know what percentage. Yeah. So.
Okay. Do you have usage data or feelings based on those 3 users?
I record that, and I don't show it very well in my dashboard right now. Right now, I can just see if they make a site or not. So one person did not make a site, although he emailed me. So I can email him. He used AcornChat to email me.
Cool.
So I can email him and be like, do you need help making a site?
Yep.
The other 2 actually did make sites, but I don't have any, like, I need a better dashboard there as well. Like, how many messages did they send? Have they sent? And, what actions have they tried? And that kind of stuff. I don't have any of that. Yeah.
I know you're focused on other things right now, and if once you TikTok back to AcornChat, I think the thing that I would be most curious about is what, like, be fascinated in these 3 people. What held them up? Did they get all the way to the moment of customer success, which for AcornChat I think would be they have AcornChat embedded in their site, because that's a huge step. Once you get something embedded in your site, that's very sticky. And they've had at least one conversation with a user within Slack. And you could do an email marketing campaign that's helping them being onboarded. You can tell when they've embedded it, and until they've embedded it, you keep sending them emails about like, hey, here's how you embedded in your site. Hey, remember to embed it in your site. Hey, embed it in your site. And then until they've had a successful conversation, you send them emails that are like, hey, you have this embedded in your site. Good job. And to get people to talk to you, you need to make sure that you have Slack open and whatever the minimum number of things are, so that you're ready when people come and message you.
Right.
And then once they actually get the message, you send them a congratulations GIF that's like, you got your first message in AcornChat. Isn't that cool? You got to stay running Slack the whole time, and you got to talk live with your customers. If you need anything else, let me know. And I would also want to know from these 3 people, like, can you get them on the phone, or can you... Oh, you have their Slack information, which I think means you can Slack message them?
So you have to be very careful.
Okay.
I have their emails that they use to sign up with.
Okay.
And they have to click a button. So the way Slack works is you cannot email them unless they email you first over email.
Okay.
Right? If they just sign up through Slack, then you can only email them if they actually click a button in your app saying you can email them.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can Slack message them, although there's rules about that too. There's like Slack etiquette about that as well.
Okay.
So
Slack etiquette.
yeah, that's Slack etiquette. Yeah. So I guess two of them contacted me outside of signing up.
Okay.
They use the AcornChat widget on AcornChat to contact me, so I can talk to them. The other person, I have their email address, but don't know. This is something else I need to surface in the UI, which is, can I email them or not? Have they clicked the yes, or you have to have a yes and a no button, right? So did they click yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's... Yeah, I would want to know that. I would want to be able to email them so that you can send them an onboarding campaign. Or if you could send it through Slack. I don't know if that complies with the Slack kit.
You can, yeah.
Okay.
So you can, you can send them, if you have DMs set up, you can send them DMs, or since my Slack bot is in one of their channels, I can send them messages in the channel, like if they haven't embedded it. Yeah. So
okay. So I think your onboarding
they would
sequence then is sent through Slack.
Yes, but so by default, my bot actually can't send anything. They have to actually do a step or two. They have to invite my bot to their workspace. They have to click the button. So they can sign up to my thing.
Yes.
Well, let me think. If they just sign up, I think I actually can DM them. But I can't post in a channel until they actually add it to the channel. They have to click a button in my app to add it to a private or public channel. Yeah, and I can't do that until they actually click the button.
Okay. If that happens automatically, then no problem. If that's not happening automatically, and like only one of the 3 people was actually able to get to that point, then I guess try to figure out some way to just like push them forward. Every obstacle, just like try to get them over it. Oh, and then I had the thought, like, you don't need to email them if they've successfully set up a chat bot, because like for talking to them, you could just go to their site and talk to them through AcornChat and be like, hey, I'm Chris, I made AcornChat. I'd love to know more about how you're doing this.
I should. Yeah, I could.
Cool. I would be fascinated though about like why did they add your thing? What were they looking for? What did they search for? What problem are they trying to solve? What's the job that they're trying to get done? And then I think that'll really help you. Man, this is so much easier to think about when with your project than mine. It's like I want to have this exact same conversation later, but with FileInbox, and you telling me the exact same things I'm telling you. Okay. Yeah, like be fascinated. 3 doesn't sound like a lot, but three. You have 3 people that just came out of the internet and added your thing.
That's right.
That's really cool. And the more you can learn from these people, the more you can get, the faster you'll be able to get your next 3, and then your next 9, and then your next 81. But I think the game there is just be obsessed with these people and their problems and why they added you and what problem they're trying to solve, and like fanatically pushing them towards the value that AcornChat provides, which is, you have to have it embedded in your site, and you have to have Slack open, and you have to make sure that you've clicked whatever the button is to add them to the private channel and stuff.
Yep. Good advice. Yes.
Cool. Let's set down AcornChat for a minute. What else did you get up to? Oh, you got access to DALL-E too.
I did. I have access to DALL-E 2 now, so I can make all sorts of weird stuff.
So cool.
It is. I posted 1 or 2. I don't want to flood my Twitter channel with DALL-E 2 images, but they
want
are
you to
so
flood
cool.
your Twitter channel with DALL-E
I
images.
know. I want to share a bunch of them, but I don't want that. I don't want my Twitter thing to be that. I need like an outlet for this or something, because I'm producing some really, really awesome stuff, but it's probably only awesome to me because I created it. Like it's like that, if you spend time making something, then it feels good.
Yeah, the
but other
IKEA
people
effect.
it's just like whatever. Yeah, but it's also really, really fun to. I've done it with my wife and my kids to have them tell me what to make, and then I know some stuff about prompts, so I can like make it look a certain way, based on painting or colored pencils or trending on ArtStation. Like there's different things you can add to prompts to make them interesting. And so watching their creativity come alive through watching DALL-E has been very cool too. Yeah.
How fun, man! When I grew up, I made drawings with crayons.
Yeah.
This generation is going to be able to tell a artificially intelligent artist to make anything. Anything that pops into their imagination in any style of any artist.
Something I didn't even think of, what I'm going to try now. So one thing that my daughter loves to do is draw or color, and whenever she's kind of bored, she asks me to print out a coloring page for her. There's tons of free ones on the internet, and so she just, whatever she thinks of, she can almost whatever she thinks of, right? And then I'll print one out and she colors it. But DALL-E 2, I bet you could add coloring page to the end of your thing and get all sorts of weird ones.
That's interesting. That's not one I've seen any renderings of before. Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Cool. How exciting. I have a project that I've talked with you about before, and I think I've talked about it on this podcast, but I'll just summarize it briefly. I want to send people weird birthday cards. So instead of the traditional every 365 days interval from when you were born, I want to do things like your birthday on Mars, which has a different orbital period than Earth, and on Jupiter, and when you're 10,000 days old, and when you're the same age that Miley Cyrus was when she made Wrecking Ball or something, or you're the same age that your parents were when they had you, and all of those cards, I would love to have custom graphics, and we that was the first thing I when I found out that you had access to DALL-E 2 that I asked you for was picture of Jupiter celebrating a birthday or something, so that I could celebrate someone's birthday on Jupiter. I thought it was amusing that you spelled Jupiter with a Y, which is like that's type
Jupiter.
of Jupiter. Yes.
Yeah, that's Jupiter Notebooks for data science.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's if you would like a creative outlet, I'll take any images along those lines of things that could be celebrating a weird birthday, and then that'll eventually get rolled into this project for sending weird birthday cards.
Yeah, that's cool. Also, I told you this, but we should note that you actually can't use DALL-E 2 for commercial purposes yet, which really limits what you can do with it. That is coming, I am sure, but in this beta period, you can't actually do anything with the images. There have been a few high-profile cases where they've partnered with people. So I don't remember what magazine it was, like Wired or something. they made an image for the cover of that magazine,
Mm.
like the reporter did, or someone working at the magazine did. So there have been very limited commercial use cases, but that's in direct partnership with OpenAI.
Yep,
Yeah,
makes sense. And I assume it'll be the same sort of thing with GPT-3. Is that commercially? That's commercial. You can use that for commercial things.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can use that. Yeah.
Okay. Both of those are OpenAI, right?
Yep.
Okay. Man, wild. That company is gonna make Skynet. This is spooky. Very exciting. And Kaggle stuff update. I think right now the main focus is on the GPS competition.
Yep, GPS competition for the next 2 weeks. We are currently in 5th place, which is great. There's 4 days till the team merger, and almost everyone else in the gold medal range doesn't have people on their team yet, which is a little spooky because it's almost always the case that if you join another person's team, you can just average your results and go up a little bit. And so if that happens to everyone below us, they'll might pass us. And so still not counting any chickens, but yeah, 2 weeks left, 5th place currently. And yeah, doing pretty well there.
Cool. I hope this isn't divulging too much information of what you were. If it is, I'll edit this out later. But you were working on something earlier today where you were fiddling with variables in some way that I don't fully understand to increase the accuracy by 0.0005 meters or something. And I was like, that's 5 millimeters that and like that's absurd because now you're correcting for the difference in position of where the phone was relative to where their actual GPS tracker was in the car. It's not within a millimeter of space of accuracy in the car. Like this, it seems like you're no longer making this more accurate for GPS, and you're really just gamifying this for this problem.
Yeah, so it wasn't quite that low, but yeah, it was. I was explaining that for this problem, but for all problems on Kaggle, at some point you reach diminishing returns, but you still have to push really hard because on Kaggle, that's the difference. The difference is going to, come for the difference, at least for a few places, will come to a few millimeters. And so, yeah, so
that's the concept of this has reached absurdity to me. That this is what you're, because it's not in the same place in the car, right? Like the phone that you're getting the data from and their point of truth tracker. First of all, their tracker can't be that accurate, right? This can't be millimeter accuracy with any device.
Yeah, so I think I can. Let's see, what can I reveal without revealing too much information? The game is not to get those few millimeters and then that's it, right? The game is to figure out. The game is to figure out kind of the algorithm, to figure out what parameters make your algorithm better, to figure out how to build a model that, and so like even small changes can tell you the direction that things go. I can explain more later probably, but yes, okay. All I can say now is that algorithm changes that produce small changes and then you group lots of them together can produce big changes.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk about it later then. I've become upset about this competition. It's too accurate. I think that's all of your stuff. Anything else you want to talk about from this last week?
I don't think so. I'm wearing a shirt I got for free, and I said I'd wear it on the podcast. And so one of my friends works at arrows.to, and he told me how to get a free shirt, and I did. So thank you for the free shirt.
I want a free shirt. That's cool.
It's an open page, so I will give you the URL to get a free shirt.
Oh.
I don't know if they want me saying it on live podcast.
Okay.
If they do, I'll put it in the show notes. But
cool. All right.
You too can get a free shirt.
Exciting. My college self is still very much motivated by free T-shirts and free food. I'll
Yeah. He said he posted the URL and he was like, only do it if you're gonna actually wear it. And I'm like, oh no, my camera is being silly. And I said, yeah, I'm cheap. I still wear free startup T-shirts. So, yeah.
Cool.
My USB cable got unplugged, and so my camera freaked out. But that's okay.
Remarkable that it was able to recover from that. That's cool. I'm building a feature right now with video streaming and stuff for polishing a feature for FileInbox to do this sort of thing. And I don't know if I'd be able to recover from that. I think I would.
It was. Maybe this is going too deep in the weeds, but we always go in the weeds. It was the USB cable, not the HDMI cable from my camera. And so the USB cable just controls the control signal to the camera. And because it's a photo camera, not a video camera,
Yep.
if it detects that it unplugs and it's been over 30 minutes, it shuts off.
Yeah. Yep.
So they had to reconnect it and then tell GPhoto 2 to reconnect to the camera.
Yes.
And now it will not shut off after 30 minutes.
I'm with it. So the video stream wouldn't have been affected.
Correct.
Yeah. It just like went black, but it kept streaming pixels. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Cool. Okay, I have 3 high-level categories of things I want to talk about, and the first high-level category thing is FileInbox, and that has several subpoints. The first thing I want to talk about is I did all of my SEO to-dos. I think we talked about that in the last episode, that I talked to Jonathan Zacks, and he did an SEO audit of my site, giving me things like, make sure that every time you say the word FileInbox, that's a link to your homepage, and limit the amount of external links to other sites, because that's just giving them free SEO juice, and here are 4 other pages that you can write that would rank highly, that are high intent. And you should also have a lot more internal links. Ideally, every one of your internal SEO landing pages is linking to every other one, using link text that is the text that you want, that is the keyword that you want to show up for in Google. And I did all of them. When we were on the phone, he was like, "How long do you think that'll take? Like a day of work?" And I was like, "Yeah, like a day of work." And I think it was, I don't know, 3.5 days. And yeah, but I did it all, and it felt good. I had like a definite thing of, okay, I have straightforward work that I can do that is moving the needle forward on marketing, and I did it. And then at the end of that, I was like, oh no, what do I do now? So that's part of what I want to talk about. Does that make sense to talk about now? Yeah, no, I want to mention a few other things, and then I want to talk about what to do next. I did 2 other important moving the needle forward things. The first one was more technical. I did a Honey Badger integration, so now anytime there's a JavaScript exception, it'll report correctly and with the right version. And that took a full day to integrate. I think the next time I do it, it'll take a palm, but I'm glad I did that. That's one of the things I've been trying to do in the serverless update is have a really rock solid technical foundation, and having exception handling feels like another really rock solid thing. So I feel really good about that. And the other thing I did is kind of fun. So you have the live chat widget for AcornChat. I had this crazy idea. I think I mentioned it when we were talking about the traction stuff, to have a live video chat widget so that when I'm online, it has a live stream of me in the corner of the web page. And then if you click on it, it opens up a live video chat with me in it, and you can just ask me any question. And I did that, and I implemented it, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 palms total. Soup to nuts. It was. I feel really proud of myself that I was able to cobble something together like that. And so that's been running for a day and a half. And so far, not a single person has clicked on it. And I don't have any numbers of how many people have been exposed to it. But it's weird. And I also haven't told anyone about it. So I'm sure if I tweeted this that I'm doing it, people would be like, oh my God.
Yeah. You're telling people now. Everyone should go to FileInbox.com right now and see if Christian's face is in the bottom right corner.
It's gonna ruin my analytics. I guess that's good though, because like you want to get people talking about it. So in the same vein of any Micro Acquire had this billboard, and that just gets more people talking about it. So like I and the listeners of this podcast am now more familiar with Micro Acquire because they did this weird cool thing. So yeah, having a live video widget is the sort of thing to just get people talking about it. So yeah, that's good. So I think I do want to make a post about this or a tweet or something. But then part of me is thinking I kind of don't want to, because right now it's integrated on the old Rails site, and I sure would love for this to be a thing on the new site. But you know what? I don't think that matters.
It works, right? It works.
Yeah, it does, and people can pay me money for it. So I think I'm just gonna tweet about it that I'm doing it. Okay. And then later on, I can tweet about that. I completely updated it, and then people are going to say, wow, that's cool. This thing I just heard about that's doing the weird live chat widget thing for video also just did a massive revamp of their website and did everything serverless. How cool. Yeah, I think just generally the more people talking about it, the better.
This gets to kind of to the point. Did you see the article by Aaron Francis going around the internet this week? I think it was on GitHub's blog or something. He did a guest writing post to them about basically if you write stuff online, then your luck increases. So like the more you publish, the more you get lucky, and it's not really luck. That's the whole point, right? But the point is you actually have to tell people when you do stuff. Otherwise, it's kind of like you didn't do it. So, yeah.
I like that. Increasing Lux surface area. I will make a note to read that. Okay, two questions for you. One is sort of a sub question of the other one. I don't know what to do next on marketing. One of the options is something that Jonathan Zacks discovered that I think we talked about last week, is file sending is a thing that a lot of people are searching for, that a lot of these huge companies, right when you land on their webpage, that's the function that you're able to do on the webpage. So in preparation for that, I bought a domain name because I love buying domain names. So I now own fi.run, a nice tiny 5-letter domain name. And I'm having doubts about directing resources towards file sending because I don't know if that's my audience, but also like I don't know if that matters, because people who are sending files, eventually some people are going to send files to people who need to receive files. That makes a lot of sense, and just the bigger this is, the better it is. But my reservation, I think, is if I had a better idea of who my customer was, I could do more targeted, directed things towards, I don't think loan officers care about that you can land on my site and do file sending. I think it may be more effective to buy a magazine ad in a loan officer magazine or on a sign printer forum. But then I think, well, why don't I just do both? I can do multiple things at the same time. I also don't know, so the general problem I'm trying to solve is, how do I spend my time in a way that's going to raise MRR the fastest? And I currently don't know what the next thing is that makes the most sense to be able to do that.
Okay. So yeah, file sending, we talked a lot about this a podcast or two ago, but I think at the short term, it's a great way to spend a lot of time developing, which sounds interesting to you.
Yep.
But I think you're right that it may or may not be the type of customer you want to attract, and may or may not actually help you raise MRR in any kind of short time frame. Mm-hmm. And you already have a lot of development work with this serverless stuff, which you seem to have gotten 3/4 of the way to and haven't finished yet. So I would shelve the file sending for now. It is interesting, and now that you are thinking about it, you can be looking out for signals for it. Okay. But the thing that you started this whole process with was reading traction, and you mentioned one of the things you could do is finish that. And so I would do that, not because then you will have finished it, but because the whole purpose of the book is to read it and then pick the 3 channels and actually do experiments on the 3 channels. And so I don't feel like you've done those experiments yet. So I would read it, finish them, get all the channels in your head, and then pick 3 and actually do the experiments. That's what I think would probably provide the most short-term marketing impact.
Okay, that's a great answer. I will finish traction. And that's very straightforward work too. I know what the work looks like to finish reading traction, right, to finish coming up with these ideas for SEO, or for marketing channels, and then make those. Okay.
It's also even even though finish traction and add file sending are just 2 lines on your to-do list, finishing a book is way shorter than implementing an entire new subsystem.
Yes.
So
much more straightforward.
Do the thing that's much more straightforward. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. The last thing in the FileInbox category of things, Rachel, my fantastic executive assistant, only used 1/3 of her hours last month while I was abroad and just didn't have time to. It takes work to assign work to people. You got to come up with the work for them to do and make sure they can do it. And so I am actually happy with that, because in the past, a month of traveling with Rachel was so much better than a month traveling without Rachel, because a month traveling with Rachel, I have all this stress that's just lifted off of me of someone might be emailing me wanting something, but I'm on vacation and I have travel brain and I don't want to open my customer support emails. And Rachel just handles that. The inbox is just constantly emptied, and it's wonderful. So I paid a extra big premium for it in this month when I didn't have her working, but even then it was still worthwhile to have her. So I'm now looking at ways to capitalize on even more value. 2 projects that are gonna be able to effectively use a lot more of her time. The first is I asked her to categorize the industry of every FileInbox customer. So as people come through, she can click on them, and based on clues of what do they name their page, or what's the URL that they have for their email address, she can now look at okay, this is a sign printer website, and then she says sign printer, and then based on that, I'm going to be able to see data of like, oh, that's interesting. This week I had 3 sign printers sign up. Those are people that I need to make sure I'm reaching out to. Or like I could have live data of the industries that cumulatively, yeah, that's
Yes.
right, have the highest LTV for their customers. So it's going to be good for better understanding my customers and where they're coming from. The advice that I was recommending to you for AcornChat, like I'm going to be able to better do. I'll be able to be more fanatically obsessed with my customers in a targeted way. So that feels good. And then I have a second thing, but any thoughts on that of categorizing customers?
Nope. That sounds like good work to be doing. Yeah. The more data you collect, the sooner, the better in the long term. So great. Good.
I was reminded also of you getting 3 customers in this last week. I've probably had 3 new signups for FileInbox in the last week, and I don't know. And I would love to know. And I would love to just, I want to be fanatical about my customers coming in and really understand what they're doing and why they're signing up. And yeah. Maybe everyone that signs up, I record a video for them, and then I upload it to their FileInbox page saying like, hey, I'm the founder of FileInbox, welcome. And it's actually a video recorded personally for them.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of people do that, like with Loom videos or whatever. But you have the added, very interesting thing that you can put it into their FileInbox.
Yes.
So that's kind of neat. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I like that.
I like that too. Cool. I'm enjoying reading Traction because it just has me in the mindset of thinking of these sorts of things. So yes, good. Okay. The second major task that I have for Rachel, and this is a big spooky step, I'm going to give her access to my personal email. And you might be saying, Christian, that's crazy because she could steal your identity and log into all your bank accounts and reset all your passwords. And I would say yes. That's great. No. So I'm in trying to mitigate like the potential damage she could be doing. At first, I thought, if I give her access to my email, that's going to mean that she can log into all of my Gmail authenticated apps, which includes Firebase, and like that is potentially a huge business liability. If I trust Rachel, but if Rachel's laptop were stolen and the attacker now had access to my OAuth for Google, they could theoretically log into Firebase and then delete all of my projects, and that would be catastrophically bad. So I found out there's a way to add access to email and it be just email and not OAuth. So she wouldn't have access to my account. She would just have access to the email. So that was the first major thing I was worried about. The second major thing is all of my personal bank accounts are currently authenticated with that address. So what I'm going to do is just make another email account and change all my bank account addresses to be that. And anything else sensitive that comes up of like, I don't know, I probably want my 2-factor authentication backup email address to be on that other one. And then I think I can just hand over the keys to my email and be like, hey, I usually check my email like once a week. And
can you check more than that?
Yeah. Right. And then let's just have the same interaction we have of like, man, it's so nice on calls. We'll have, I don't know, like a 10-minute call once a week. And she'll just say, okay, here are 3 emails that I wasn't sure what to do with. And then I'll look at them and be like, oh yeah, I also don't know what to do with this one. And this other one, you wouldn't know how to do it, but here's how you do it. And this third one, actually, you did know how to do it. And here's what you should do. And, add that to the SOP. So that feels good. Feels like I'm leveling up my automation and systems, and I'm going to become much more responsible, and I'm going to respond much more quickly to emails. I have an email, I'm so embarrassed about this, from Rob Wallach that he sent me right after MicroConf that I haven't replied to.
Oh, no.
I know. So I'm going to, I don't know, maybe tell Rachel what to reply to. I don't, there's still emails that I want to be handling. Like I want to be triaging them, but it's going to make the whole process a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. It probably feels super weird for you to do this, but executive assistants, like this is one of the things they do all the time. So I'm sure she has more, than just you handling personal email, or she's handling personal email for more than just you. So, yeah, I think it'll go just fine. So that's good.
Cool. Something I'm sure will come up that I already feel embarrassed about is that she sends me weekly email updates that tell
and
me
you haven't read them.
I haven't read. I think I've read 2 of them. And she'll be able to see that once she has access to my email. So maybe before I give her access, I'll just go through and like mark all those as read and like I'll actually read them. I'll skim them.
So when she sends you email, that will hit your inbox, and then she'll have to triage her own email. Some kind of infinite loop there.
That's correct. That starts getting dangerous. That's like the situation that Derek Sivers got in, where like people, his employees implemented a revenue sharing system without him knowing. And it was actually really bad for the company because like all of the profits were now going to the employees. And so it's a cautionary tale of like, you know, don't let people manage themselves, because that's a
interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all the stuff in FileInbox. Yeah, so I feel good about where it is. But I'll bring up the incubator to him. Cool. Last thing, which is more of a personal update. I have a paramotoring update. So for 2 or 3 months, it was too windy in my part of Texas to be able to fly. And then I was out of town for a month. And in that month, of course, the wind got better and they started training again like a week after I was gone, but that's fine. So I finally gotten back and I'm finally training more consistently again. And averaging like 2 or 3 times a week since I've been back. And the first day I got back, the instructor came up to me and said, "Hey, did you hear about, I'm going to anonymize this person. We'll call him Gary." And I had met Gary before, and he did a lot of acrobatic stuff, and we didn't talk a whole lot, but like I had a conversation with him, and I think was one of the like technically best flyers in the group. And I was like, "No, what happened to Gary?" And my instructor said, "Gary died."
Wow.
And I said, "Oh, how did Gary die?" And my instructor said he died paramotoring, and went on to explain the accident, that he was flying too close to the ground and was flying, doing acrobatic tricks close to the ground, which is 2 layers of mistakes. And then he told me the technical thing that happened. I don't fully understand it. He turned in a way that then his wing went down and he started going down to the ground, and then he pulled on his throttle, which would have been a good way to like recover from it if he had enough room to recover from it, but he didn't, and so he just hit the ground harder and died on impact. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Feel a little shaken at that, and went and talked to Sarah about it afterwards, and Sarah was like, "You should not paramotor anymore because people can die." And I was like, "Okay, hold on," and went back the next day, and like I'm not flying yet. I'm still just working on ground stuff. And the next day, I am seeing people go up, and I see the first person go up and they have a great launch, and I'm like, "Oh man, I sure wish I could fly." And then the second person goes up and they launch, and I'm like, "Oh man, how beautiful." And then the third person is a bit of a heavier person, and he's on a trike. So instead of launching on your legs, it's like a little wheeled cart that he's on. And he tries to get up, and then his wing tips over to the left, and then he falls, and the instructor comes over and says, "You really got to give it full throttle." And he's like, "Okay." So he goes trying to go for the second time and tries to take off, and then the wing falls over to the other side, and the instructor's like, "You really got to go for it. Like, really do the throttle." And he's like, "Okay." So he resets and goes back to the beginning of the field. And third time, he gets off the ground, but he's oscillating. He's swinging from left to right. And I'm like, "Oh, I sure hope he clears that oscillation." And also, he's not climbing fast enough to be able to clear the trees at the end of the field. Oh no. So he gets like halfway through the field, and he's still not, like, he's got a good 20 more feet to climb, and he is not climbing fast enough. And I'm like, "Oh no." And he goes and he's going towards the trees, and I'm like, "Oh, he's going to hit those trees." He's getting real close. What happens if you hit a tree? I haven't seen this before. But he's climbing, and like maybe he could just barely go over the trees, but he's not there yet. And so he turns right. I'm like, "Whew, crisis averted." But you know what's to the right? It's more trees. And so he's going, and he's still trying to climb, but he's not quite climbing. And I'm like, "Oh man, this would be crazy if he hit those trees." And then he hit the trees, and then he crashed in the trees, and there was a huge crack, and everyone starts rushing towards him. And I run through a field of poison ivy and snakes to get to him. I didn't encounter any poison ivy or snakes, but they were there. Scratched my legs a little bit. And I go to see him like 20 feet up a tree with his wing up in the tree and his cart hanging on by a broken branch. And he's fine. He's scratched up in a few places, bleeding, but like nothing's broken. He's totally fine. But that was a little spooky. And so since then, I've been researching alternate paramotor instructors. And I don't think it's the instructor. I think this instructor has a lot of experience, especially he is a former combat Marine. He did a lot of aerial stuff. He has tens of thousands of flights. Like, he knows his stuff. I think it's the geography. I think just like the wind here is not very consistent, and it's a difficult place to learn. Like, even now with wind being relatively good, the wind is only good enough to learn in 2 or 3 times a week, and this is an unusually good month. Whereas if I learn somewhere like on the beach, where the wind is just constantly good all the time, I could get a lot more of the training done a lot quicker. So I think I'm going to hire a new instructor, and that's my update on paramotoring.
Yeah. When you first said you were going to do paramotoring, I was like, okay, it's dangerous, but okay. And I think maybe now you've seen that it's dangerous. So
this is no joke.
Don't die. I don't know. Good luck.
I would very much like to not die. Thank you. Part of this I was thinking through, especially the man, hearing about the guy that died really shook me. But I was like, well, he was being a lot more aggressive than I was. He was doing things that I wouldn't be doing. But then the very next day, seeing the guy crash in the tree,
right,
and realizing, like, as I'm running towards him, like, I could be running towards a dead person who I was just talking to 5 minutes ago, who just had this crash. That shook me, because like I've seen him fly a few times before. He like got the instructor's clearance to fly. Apparently his wing was his weight was like 20% over the weight rating for the wing, which you can sometimes get away with, but he didn't, and I don't quite understand why. But yeah, this has me thinking much more seriously about, like, I would like to live a long and happy life and have kids. And at the same time, this is something that I've wanted to do my whole life, to be able to oh man, I would regret so much, like, being so close to this opportunity of being able to fly in the air like a bird and not. Like, I am so close, and I want to be cautious of that, because I think that feeling could, like, push me towards doing something that's not safe. So I want to make sure, like, I have this healthy safety margin. I'm doing things that are very safe, and I'm making decisions like, okay, it's going to be a lot more time and money to switch instructors, and I think that's going to be objectively the safer thing. Let's postpone the excitement for a little bit. But yeah, I need to do this. And if you're watching this in the future and I have died, you can clip out that part of the video and be like, well, he knew what the risks were and he did it anyway, and that was the thing that he needed to do. And so that's what I'm doing.
All right. Well, good luck. I would also consider what happens, like, after you have kids, for example. So if you start paramotoring, I know several people who used to ride motorcycles and then they had kids and now they don't.
Yep.
Stuff like that. But other than that, good luck.
Thank you. That's why I'm racing to do this before I have kids, because I think training is the most dangerous part. And then I think after I've done it, I'll have a much clearer idea of my personal danger in it. Like, if I get up and I'm like, whoa, I feel like I'm about to crash into the ground every time I do this.
Right.
This is not a safe thing to do. Then I stop. But if I do it and I'm like, oh, I could see how this would be very dangerous if you weren't checking your gear and you were flying in dangerous weather and you were doing acrobatic stuff close to the ground. But I can make choices that remove all of those risks and just launch and go as high up as quickly as possible, and then just cruise around and then safely go back down. And that is about as dangerous as driving a car. So I'm gonna keep doing that even while I have kids. I want to be able to get to the point where I have enough information to make that decision before having kids. So it's a race to get in the air before creating new life.
Except not a race, because you don't have to do anything that's uncomfortable.
Yes. A very safe,
safe, slow race.
Yes. being very cautious. Cool. Chris, that's all I got.
That's all I got too.
Then I'll see you next week. Goodbye.